Alright, thank you for clicking on this Rank the Movies video. I'm going to do another one of these because I enjoy doing this so much so that I actually bought a tripod for my cell phone. So I can do these a little more professionally, I guess, because before I just had it lying against something on my counter. So I'm like, okay, I was at Walmart, I'll look at tripods, and I found one, so I bought it. So, if you watch this Wednesday's video, where I start talking about kids' films, my facial hair is not gonna match this video. Because a lot of videos were shot before I did this, this little chin strap thing. I kind of wish this would grow in a little more. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about some movies. I got 4 of them to cover that I had watched recently for the first time ever. I'm going to start with StageFright. I actually watched this one Thursday night. I don't have anything to show because I watched it off of Tubi. StageFright. You got to be really careful because there's like at least three horror movies called StageFright. One of them is an older movie. It might not even be a horror movie. It might just be a classic film that's called StageFright. I've never heard of it. I don't know what it's about. Then there's one that was made, more modern version, featuring Meatloaf, and it's a rock opera taking place at a musical summer camp. It's not great. I've watched it. It's not that great. But the version I'm watching is an Italian film. It's another one of those Italian films definitely made for American audiences, about a group of theater troupe working on a new musical called The Night Owl. I think there's actually another word in there, but I just can't remember what it is. And they're being stalked by a serial killer who was an actor who went insane, killed a bunch of people, has now escaped the mental hospital. This movie is a lot of fun, I got to admit. It's not good. The movie is not good, but it is so much fun. Just because of the convolutedness of it. Like, at one point they're rehearsing a scene for this musical, and they keep saying we're going to have an audience, but they're in a soundstage. So there's no seating. And I'm not sure where they're putting seating, because the part of the soundstage that's not being used as the stage just has a bunch of crap on it, like a carriage and pillars, and like it never worked for me. Even when they said it was a soundstage and they admitted that's what it was, it still never worked for me that this movie took place in a soundstage. But it's so ridiculous. But they're rehearsing, and at one point they're clearly throwing a dummy around, and then it cuts back, and it's the actress, but it was clearly a dummy, and it, like, at first I'm like, okay, they're doing stuff and they're throwing around. Like, this person was supposed to have been killed by the Night Owl, and they're throwing a dummy around, because why not? They're dead. Then it's the actress again. I'm like, there's no way that's real. There's no way in the middle of stage, in front of an audience, you could have pulled that one off. Nope. Disney magic, not working here. But eventually you find out one of the actresses has injured their ankle during the rehearsal process, and they take her to the nearest hospital, which is apparently a mental ward, which is where the killer is. The killer breaks out and sneaks back with the people and begins killing. The director has this weird thing that all doors have to be locked at all times when they are rehearsing. And that's how it works, is that one of the actresses hides the key and then is the first one killed, obviously, because if she wasn't, they just grab the key. The movie, it's entertaining. It's got some entertaining moments in it. It's got some interesting kills for a horror movie. It's a slasher film, but it's a pretty decent slasher film. I really liked it. It's one, if I ever came across a Blu-ray copy of it for a decent price, I'd totally buy it and add to my collection. I'd watch that one again, because it was the good kind of fun you want with that kind of a slasher film. Even the bit, there's that gun, and you see her, like, it was clearly a prop gun that didn't have, like, a magazine, and the slide didn't work, because she at no point checks to make sure it's loaded in any way. But I swear, she feels the safety. So maybe she doesn't know how the safety works, but she feels the safety. And eventually, she goes to shoot the killer, and it just clicks. Which, okay, it clicked, that's fine, it was probably a prop gun. At the end of the movie, you find out, no, it's not a prop gun. The safety was on, which I've shot a gun before. The gun doesn't even click if the safety's on. And then he goes, well, there wasn't anything a round loaded. I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes more sense, because then it might click if it's not an autofill. Like, if you didn't push back the slide to load the initial round, it might not do anything. I'm not that well versed in guns. I buy that. But then he ends up shooting the gun, and it immediately cocks back to the it's out of ammo position, which that I know. I know when a gun runs out of ammo, the slide locks back. It went to that position, so I'm sitting there going, wait, so there's only one bullet? But if there was one bullet, why wasn't the bullet chambered? Like, because the bullet should have been chambered. That was the biggest thing I had with this movie, was the magic bullet and this gun. This gun was the weirdest thing. The next one I checked out, that was Thursday. The rest of these I watched yesterday. I did I just felt like sitting around watching movies, so that's what I did. I was lazy, and I watched a couple of movies. The first one I watched was The Mutilator, or Fall Break, if you actually watch the movie. It does not say The Mutilator in the movie. Like, the title card reads Fall Break, and I think this movie was okay. It was definitely a very average slasher. Like, there are way better ones out there. There are worse slasher films as well, but there are way better ones out there that I'd recommend. I mean, StageFright, right off the bat. I'd recommend StageFright over The Mutilator. It was a pretty average horror film. I think the one thing it could have done to have at least made it unique, because there's a few unique things in there, like, you're aware of who the killer is from the beginning. There's no mask. There's nothing. It's just his purpose is the only thing that's going on. The purpose is weird, and I'll get to that in a second. What they could have done is if they had just cut the prologue. The stereotypical 80s slasher, like something happens in the past that then leads us to our present killing. If they had just cut that. If they had just cut that bit, which they needed, but they could have used it as a flashback later on. They had just not, and just went straight into the kids deciding, the main character having to go close out his father's condo for the winter, and his friends going with him. If they had just started there and then went into the almost National Lampoon's Vacation-esque opening title music, I think you could have gotten a good swerve for your crowd when it first came out. I think you could have really swerved them, thinking that this wasn't a horror film, and then finding out, oh, hey, this is a horror film. I think that could have happened. I think they could have done that. I think they were capable of doing that, and they just didn't. They just decided to go with the stereotypical horror film, which is that a kid, I think he was between 6 and 8, cleaning his father's rifles. One of them is loaded for reasons. Hunting rifles. One of them's loaded for reasons. It shoots, and it kills his mother. And the dad is distraught and is now seeking revenge on his at least 18-year-old son. He's got to be older than that, because they complain that they've had other fall breaks or they've done nothing. So he's got to be almost 20. He's got to be in his 20s at this point. It doesn't actually say how much time has passed from the opening scene until the actual movie portion of what's going on. But so it's the dad taking his revenge, killing all of his friends, and then trying to kill him, which is a very unique idea. I like that. That I didn't mind. That was cool. In the fact that there was no question. There wasn't like is it really the dad? Is it someone else? No, it's just the dad. It's just the dad. He's just crazy and drunk, apparently. He likes to drink. And this was his plan to murder his son in revenge for him murdering his wife. It's weird. I'm not going to say it's not weird. Again, it's an average slasher. There aren't any real amazing kills, and there's nothing that stands out as, well, this was weird. It's just all is what it is. It's a fine slasher film. All right, next up, I checked out The Killing of the Sacred Deer, or The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which isn't a typical horror film. It's not like a slasher, but it is a horror in its execution. I really want to see The Lobster. It was a preview before The Killing of a Sacred Deer was for The Lobster, and I really want to see The Lobster because it looks pretty good. It looks like just a weird movie, and I really want to see it. And it's not streaming anywhere, so I'm going to have to break down and buy it off of Amazon. But might do that once I'm done filming this video. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, Killing of a Sacred Deer is about a doctor who lost a patient years earlier, has befriended that patient's son, and the son curses the doctor because he believes the doctor is responsible for his father's death, and he curses him with the fact that his family are going to lose the feeling in their legs, they're going to reject food, and then they're going to start bleeding from the eyes before they die. Now, he can prevent this if he's willing to sacrifice one member of his family. If he kills one of his 2 kids or his wife, the other 2 will be fine. This affects his youngest son first, and then it affects his older daughter, and it never gets to his wife. We never see it get that far because his young son begins bleeding from the eyes before that. I feel like, and although they never said it, it worked on, like, the youngest, from the time he cursed them, the youngest son got it first, and then a couple of days later is when the daughter got it, and the age gap on them was only a couple of years. So I feel like it was just moving through, and when it, like, each day represented a year, and when it hit the daughter, then it took her out, and the age gap between the daughter and the wife was much more substantial, and it never covered that many days. They never said that in the movie. That's how I took it. It's an interesting movie. I liked it. I'm not going to watch it again. Just I don't think it has rewatch value. Again, it was a very interesting movie. I don't know why the director chose this, but everyone acts without emotion. And it's definitely a choice because it's Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman, who I've seen act before. I know they have range. I know they can show emotion, but everyone just sounds like a robot in this movie. But it's right across the board. It's every character has a very robotic delivery of what they're doing, and it sounds like they have no emotion for what they're doing, even though Colin Farrell is very emotional by the end of this movie when he realizes he has no choice but to make the choice. And I think the best part of this movie really is the realization that he's told that he's bad at making decisions, that he makes the bad decision, and then watching what his decision is for choosing who dies in his family. It's horrible. It really is. It's amazingly horrible. But yeah, if you've never seen it, check it out. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is worth watching. I think it's streaming on Netflix. I happened to physically find a copy of it, and I always prefer a physical copy because it reminds me to watch it more than streaming. Like, I've started to create a list on my phone of movies I want to stream, just so maybe one day I'll actually watch these movies that I do want to check out, but haven't yet. But yeah, check out Killing of a Sacred Deer. It's not bad. It's not a bad movie. The final movie I watched that I had never seen before yesterday was one I was excited for. I was excited to get it in the mail. I had ordered it. I had heard of it. I had read about it. And I wanted to see it. And the first time I tried to buy it, I couldn't. They were out of stock, or it was like a 2-month delay on its delivery. So I didn't. And this one still ended up being delayed by like 3 days. But it is Popcorn. This is the Synapse Blu-ray release. It has, much like Shout and Arrow, it has a reversible cover. So there's the actual movie poster, or at least the one you see a lot of. And this is the reverse, and I threw on the reverse because I wanted to. Popcorn, I gotta admit, I like Popcorn. Popcorn was a lot of fun. It's weird. It's right up my alley of horror. As far as those types of slasher films go, it's right up my alley. I really enjoyed it. It is about a girl who is having nightmares, and she's deciding to. She's a film major at college, so she's decided to turn her nightmares into a movie. So she wakes up every morning and takes notes on what she's dreamed. Her college film course, or college film group, is going to be hosting a monster movie marathon to kind of raise money and support for their group. And they're choosing movies that have, like, the old Roger Corman twists to them, such as one movie is called Mosquito, and it's about a giant mosquito and mosquitoes, and you can fly a giant mosquito over the audience to scare them. Another one is about a dude who gets electrocuted, and there are electric shocks attached to the seats, so you can shock people whenever he's using his electric powers. And the last one is called The Stench, and it's a smelloscope, where you actually, like, funnel smells into the theater. Um, so so that's what they're doing. But they also find, as they're preparing, they find a film reel for a different movie that was never finished. It was by a cultist who made a movie and decided to film the end of his movie live on stage, which was the murder of his wife and daughter. Um, so we get to the night of the showings, and people start dying. Generally, most of the victims come from the gags that are done. Like the first person is killed by having the mosquito stinger slammed into their chest. And one person's electrocuted by the electroshock. No one gets killed by the stench. Is technically someone gets blown up and there's like smoke involved. So I guess that was its workaround. And this is really clever in the fact that it sets up a group who you know who the main character is, and you know everyone else is cannon fodder, and then it kind of doesn't pay off on all of them. Like some of them live. Like some of these characters who are set up for you to go, oh, they're going to be victims, actually make it through this movie just because. And actually, they set up that the cultist, because he was shot when he was trying to kill his daughter, and then the theater they were in lit on fire, and his body was never found, so they think it's the cultist who did it. It's not the cultist. It is somebody else who was at the theater that night and got severely burned and is delusional in believing that if he recreates the situation and finishes the movie, that everything he lost for being so horribly burnt because he was a child when this happened and now he's an adult, that everything, the life he's lived will be fixed by finishing this movie and redoing this ending. That somehow it'll all make it all better. So it's a very delusional killer. It's a really good movie. I like Popcorn. It's not great. It's enjoyable. You watch it. It's a fun movie. But again, it's not like the greatest movie ever made. It's just a fun horror film. I enjoy it. Check it out if you ever get the chance. If you ever get the chance to take a look at Popcorn, definitely check it out. Again, check out StageFright, the Italian movie. Check out Popcorn. Watch The Killing of a Sacred Deer. It's worth it. And if you like average slasher films, check out The Mutilator. Nothing really horrible this time around. I got nothing that like I was really depressed over watching. Again, The Mutilator, I can take or leave ever watching it again. Killing a Sacred Deer the same way, but they were both enjoyable. I didn't hate watching them. I didn't regret the time I spent with them, like with Light Curtains, Dress to Kill to an extent. The stun, like those, I didn't regret watching those, and I was fine with everything else. So they're perfectly good movies. I'd check them out, but I highly recommend StageFright, and I highly recommend Popcorn. I don't think Popcorn's streaming anywhere, so again, I think Blu-rays and DVDs are the only way you get to watch Popcorn. I could be wrong. I've just never seen it streaming anywhere. And I know back when I first tried to buy it, I did check all my streaming services to make sure it wasn't there. And it wasn't, so that's why I just went with I'm going to own a copy. Because if it's good, woohoo, I have a copy. I don't never have to rely on a streaming service to watch a movie I like. And if I don't like it, well, I'll be out some money, but I'll sell it and be recouped a little bit of what I spent. So, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. All right, well, this Wednesday, I've got a new video coming out, and it's about a couple of kids' films. It's two of them. I can't remember what they are. I did 3 weeks of kids' films, and I did 2 at a pace, so I think I remember all 6. I just don't remember what order they're coming in. But that is this Wednesday. You can check out our Spice Girls commentary. That went live yesterday. Me, my friend Courtney Krause, who's on the Die Hard commentary, and Christine Bladorn, who has not done anything with this channel yet outside of this commentary. They wanted to watch Spice World, and I went, well, I guess I'll film the commentary, because I had never seen the movie before. So check that out if you want to. Otherwise, I'm Martin Priebus. This is Rank the Movies. Like, comment, and subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. And I will talk to you later. I'm sure I'll do another one of these the next time I start watching movies I've never seen before. Again, regardless, probably Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to have a review for Death on the Nile, because I'm going to go see that. So yeah, have a good one.